Gonna transfer you over to his line if you don't mind holding.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Safe level of lead exposure for children. The Neighborhood Services Department's Lead Hazard Control Program received funds to provide no-cost assistance to help homeowners, landlords, and tenants in targeted areas control hazards from lead in paint, soil, and dust. For more information, call 602-534-4444.
Loren Braud.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Braud. This is Harry Knight.
Oh, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks.
Good.
How are you?
What's up?
Well, I was trying to find out. I got an appeal back from the Superior Court, and that appeal was similar to the appeal that became imperfected by you guys, the judge, the hearing officer, Via's boss, whatever her name is, imperfected it. She wouldn't allow me to just pay that money. But in the other one, no money was paid, and the appeal went through at the Superior Court. So the one with Via's name didn't go through, and the one with somebody else's name went through.
Okay.
And it was under exactly the same circumstances. So I'm wondering, is there any kind of rules, or is it just sometimes things happen one way and then the other time they happen the other way?
Well, to be honest with you, I can't tell. I don't know. I wouldn't know without looking at the files very carefully. And offhand, I haven't heard enough to say. I mean, certainly sometimes if, I'd have to say that I suppose it's on occasion, maybe somebody doesn't look as carefully at something as somebody else and it just goes, maybe. I don't, I'm just guessing because I'm not familiar with either of the files, so I don't really know.
But the reason was very picayune and not really a good reason. It was because of a financial payment wasn't made, and it was and it was because a form wasn't filled out. Pretty much a redundant form because the same form had been filled out at that court level. So it's the technicality that was used to imperfect it, and then refused upon appeal. Upon a motion to reinstate. Those technicalities given were had to do with a financial document that was filled out saying that the person couldn't afford it to pay it, and it was to be waived. So it was waived at your court, then it had to be waived at the other court. They have another document that they needed to be filled out. They sent notice. It didn't get filled out. It came back to you guys, and you said, that's it. You can't do it again.
Okay.
So, then the second appeal that I just got back today went through with no funds being paid whatsoever or forms being signed. So,
yeah, so I'd be just guessing. I really don't know. I don't, and frankly, I don't work on appeals. I kind of have I've been here long enough that I sort of have a general idea of how they go, but I don't get involved in them. I don't litigate those cases, and it all goes to Superior Court. So.
Well, no, but the hearing officer was involved was Judge Via's boss that imperfected it and wouldn't allow it to be reinstated.
Yeah, well, and that, again, that's a judicial decision, and if you don't like it, you can take special action or something like that. And that may be something that was discretionary, and it may be part of the rules, and maybe somebody else wasn't looking that carefully at it and just let it go. I don't know.
Well, how many other times have? But the thing is, I'd like to know how many other times in the past that appeals have been sent back from Superior Court for non-payment.
Oh, that happens pretty often.
Well, I'd like to know.
As far as I know. Yeah, let's put it this way. We don't keep statistics on it. Nobody keeps stats on that. You'd have to look at each individual case, and nobody keeps records of that.
Yeah, well,
either
you can
perfected
find
or
out
not. There's a lot of reasons why they
that's
aren't.
3 months, but there's a certain time period that passes, so it's for an appeal to get to that stage. It goes by time, so it's how many got kicked back at that point. That's pretty.
Well, no, because there's other things, motions for continuances and all kinds of other things that happen, that delay. And sometimes it depends on who it gets assigned to over at Superior Court too. Sometimes depending on their caseload and who's doing it, sometimes it gets done faster than other times. And there's just no way to tell.
No, but this time somebody kicked it out for a technicality.
Well, that's what technicalities are,
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a basis in the rule to do it and somebody notices it and they do it, that's legitimate,
Well, let's see if they do it for everybody or they just do it once in a while. Then it's not legitimate. It's only legitimate if that's the policy. If it's not the policy, then I can't see it being legitimate.
Well, I'm not going to debate that with you because, as I said, I don't know enough about how often that happens or what the rules are specifically and what was used in these two cases. I don't know if they really are identical or if there's something different. I don't know.
Well, but the thing is that the thing that's identical is the hearing officer who was involved, Judge Villa, who the appeal was about. It was her boss, immediate supervisor, the presiding
hearing officer. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who made that decision.
Yeah, well, that's their job.
Well, it wasn't though. Before the Judge Jacobs was doing that.
Well, he's a pro tem, and so he doesn't handle everything,
Well, but he was handling. They said he was handling the appeals, and then there became a change at some point where all environmental issues were being shifted back over to the chief presiding hearing officer. It became an issue, and there was an order, a directive issued.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I just don't know.
Well, but that was at the same time that my appeal got rejected concerning Villa. That's when Villa's boss stepped in and took over with the appeals then, and she made a directive.
Yeah, I just don't know.
You don't know anything about that? Well,
no.
Can you check about it and see if that did happen?
Well, those are judicial things, and whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent, your remedy is the same,
Well, my remedy is based on fairness, first of all.
Well, the rules are the rules, and and you can take special action if you don't think it was done properly, and that sort of thing. Or
who's got that appeal?
I'm sorry?
Who has that appeal and the evidence that went with it?
I don't know. Which appeal are you talking about?
The Villa
case
appeal.
Number?
The Villa appeal that became imperfected.
Okay. So which appeal are we talking about? Is this have you got an appeal on that protective order?
That appeal, it came to me today. That's what I'm saying. I didn't file anything on that appeal.
That's the protective order one?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one that came back today?
Yes. That one came back today, ruled upon.
Okay. Well, if it was a protective order, that might make it different too. There's different rules for protective orders.
They're both civil.
Yeah, but there's a whole set of special protective order rules.
Mm.
And there may be just a different criteria that they apply.
Well, their issue was, but anyway.
Because protective orders are considered more important, really, because that's people's safety and so on that's at stake. So, and their liberty, so that, even though they're civil, they're, it's a crime to violate one, so they're clearly more serious than civil zoning case. The
Wow.
potential impact on you or anybody else who's involved with one of those is significantly greater than any kind of a property, neighborhood thing.
Yeah. Well, the point is that the harassment case sprung from the other case.
Yeah,
And
but that doesn't matter. They're still separate deals.
Well, no, because the issue was me playing
legally,
recorded.
but legally they're separate matters.
Yeah, well,
they go on their own track.
They're basically intertwined because they're.
I know, but that's only because of the facts. That's not.
Well,
they're not
no,
legally
but in the opinion that the judge gave, I understood the opinion, and it's saying that, you said you didn't give any legitimate reason for calling her. And I had a legitimate reason. That was the reason for me wanting to play it for the court, but I couldn't do that. So that's why, that's what I was complaining about anyway. But, I'm more interested in right now determining what happened last year when Via was invited to the Justice of the Peace picnic back in September. Because, was that cleared through you?
No.
And it's a yearly thing. Was that cleared in advance?
I have no idea. Nor is that something that I think we're going to share with you.
Well, I mean, isn't the docket public information?
If it's still available, I suppose we could probably find it. I don't
What
know
about
if we can find it or not.
changes to the docket?
So I'm not sure that would even show they change. They change. They don't. There isn't. I don't think they keep track of history of them.
Well, wouldn't that be available with the judges in the judges' notes somewhere?
I don't know. Maybe.
Are those notes available to the public?
Only the ones that, they don't make notes except for the ones that are in the court files. You'd have to look at each court file.
The court files, what about for the docket, though?
Well,
the docket's a schedule. It's a judge's schedule.
Yeah, but that's just generated by the computer.
Well, can I get those printouts?
I have to find out. I'm not entirely sure if they even keep anything, but I'll find out.
Because
if you put that's in your email, isn't it?
Yeah, and the reason why
that'll remind me to check and see if they.
Well, the issue that I have with that is because I have an issue. From the beginning, I asked you if the chief presiding judge of the Fountain Hills Municipal Court, if anyone knew him, and you stated that you doubt that anybody knew that guy, had even heard his name. And he's a justice of the peace.
Yeah, and the other thing you got to understand too that there's from the brochure it looks like that was the Justice of the Peace Association. They were doing continuing education programs and all that kind of stuff. So, these judges they know who each other are, and some of them are in the same groups and all that sort of thing. But I don't know. That's personal stuff.
Well, for them to have a meeting and invite Judge Villa, and that was.
Oh, she's invited. Well, I don't think I'm telling you something I'm not supposed to tell you, but she does continuing education classes all the time for other organizations.
Oh, yeah. Well, not for the Justice. I have her bio. I'm well aware of what she does and all that.
Well, then you don't need to ask me if you know.
In her bio, it said, well, she actually was she compensated for that?
Unlikely. They always do. Those things are just done as a cooperation with the Supreme Court or DOC or whoever generally.
Well, it was for the Justice of the Peace, but she missed 3 days of work, right? Isn't that the charity vacation? Isn't that the one you want to take? Because you're missing. It lines up.
Well, you're making some assumptions that may not be true.
Well, what
How do you know that she was away from work for 4 days?
Well, it was a 4-day weekend. And then it lines up with that Memorial Day. What is it? Memorial Day weekend.
How do you know when she didn't work?
That's why I wanted to check and see if I
Well,
could.
and we're not, and that's what we're not going to share with you.
Well, the thing is, her name was on the bill, and you know that's at a resort, and
I mean, I've done continuing education classes myself. I drive to wherever they are, give the class, and I come home.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know whether she did that or not. You're just,
know,
this is another one. This is another one of your conspiracy theories where you're just going off on this.
That's
thing.
the same with
you're
just
going off on
and
this.
Judge Jeffrey.
It's just like your notion about the computer audio being hacked. Nobody can do that.
Nobody can do that.
Maybe the CIA could, but we don't have anybody who can do it.
Why? You have people that can do it.
No, of course not. No, we don't. It's ridiculous. You're being ridiculous.
Listen, but Loren,
you're being ridiculous.
No, I'm not being ridiculous because
yes,
I have both versions. The thing is, the first point is I'm not being ridiculous because I have both versions. The second point is that I was saying that the bailiff's testimony was also muted, and it turned out that was true too, and it matched exactly what the version I had on my phone. So that's another piece that happened in just June and July.
So you're saying there are multiple recordings then?
Yes.
Well, that just isn't so. There's only one.
No, there's not only one.
There's been multiple copies made of it. One of them, just at least the early ones that you got, were just were put onto a plain CD because you can convert the FTR into a format that'll play on an ordinary CD player, which is, and frankly, this is. Right from the get-go, there was a problem when they told you one of those CDs was an FTR when it wasn't.
Two of them.
And that was just a mistake,
No, that happened twice, and I've been complaining for 2 months that it wasn't real.
And I've personally given you FTRs on 2 different occasions, which are taken right from the central thing, and so.
No. When I have it, when you play it back in your system, it should play back standard and consistent. And I have it, last time I was with Patricia, it played back muted. The first time she played it, it played back muted. And that's exactly what I was saying happened.
Yeah, and I've explained to you the multiple channels when you do a playback. So you can get it to sound differently, but that doesn't alter the underlying audio file.
Right, and what I was explaining to you was that one of the channels was missing. And then that's why you only have a 3-channel recording. So one of the microphones, the microphone that picked up.
That's not, that's how I know that you didn't listen to it.
What's that?
That's how I know you hadn't listened to that thing in about the first 4 months we were talking about this thing. Is you didn't notice that one of the channels was cutting out.
No. What do you mean? I knew.
No, you didn't, because you didn't mention that until July.
No, it's not that I didn't mention it. I'm not going to mention that. I already knew what it was. I don't have to solve the thing. Okay? I said, it's not that
you told me everything else about it, but you didn't mention one time that
yes, I did.
one of the channels was cutting out until like June or July.
That was the crux of my, it's not that one of the channels was cutting out.
So I just know you haven't been telling me the truth.
No. What do you mean I haven't been telling you?
You were telling me you were listening to this on an FTR, and you weren't.
About your system? Wait. You're telling me I haven't been telling you the truth about your system? No.
You didn't. You were telling me you were listening to this on an FTR, and you'd been listening to it, and then suddenly, after like 4 months of this, then the first time you mentioned that, I noticed that one of the channels was cutting out.
No. I didn't notice any channel was cutting. That's not what I said. What I said was the way they did it was they cut out.
We're just going to have to agree to disagree on the memory of what you said. That's what my memory is.
Well, no, the way they caused it to happen is they removed one channel, the channel that picked up what Zalika said. The microphones that faced Zalika. That would have been the judge's mics. So all you heard was the last 3, and the recording I have is the 4th one, and that's the one that played for your your court managers.
I'm sorry, we're just getting nowhere, and I have stuff I have to get done for next week. So
Well,
You know,
and
you
what
do
about,
what you got. You do what you have to do. You know what your remedies are. You know what your options are.
but the thing
And you
is,
just
that's
do
not
what you
it
have
though.
to do.
The
Yeah.
system is
But
definitely
you're not.
hacked.
Well, you're not. Look, there's no point in you arguing with me because I'm never going to agree with you. Okay?
Well, the
Because
thing
I
is,
understand enough about this system. I talked to enough technical people about this. That I know that there's nothing wrong with it.
No,
there's
you
nothing
think
wrong
that
with
you can
it.
get away with the fact
No, I
that it was
don't.
hacked. It's
I'm
been hacked.
absolutely confident it is.
Well, the thing is,
And so I'm not going to argue with you about it.
Well,
You're never going to convince me of this because I've talked to enough people and they've checked the
look,
system.
I have a version.
And there's absolutely no motive. There's no reason why anybody would even do this.
The inspector
It's ridiculous.
tells the judge, "I'll see you out there."
It's ridiculous.
Well, it's not ridiculous.
It's
because it happened.
ridiculous.
The reason why they do it
You
is
had a
for
motion to
financial
set.
reasons.
You had a motion to set aside a plea that you did. And that's completely judicial discretion not to grant that. And if you wanted something different, you
She
could
was
appeal
biased.
the
She should
denial.
have been in there. The judge,
That
judge
makes
should have been
no
making those
difference.
decisions. She was
That
too
makes
connected.
no difference.
So Lika was her secretary, and the
That would make no
other lady,
difference if it was
Judge
true.
Villa was her was. Come on.
That would make no difference on what happened in this case, even if it were true. And frankly, it's not true, probably.
I don't even
I've
know
got
what
no
you're
reason
saying.
to think
Probably
it's true.
not true or true. I'm lost track. But the point is that
Well, what you're saying about this whole thing is just a fantasy. You've worked yourself up. You feel like you weren't treated fairly.
No.
So you've worked this up into this major conspiracy, and there's nothing there.
But
There's
how
just
come
nothing there.
Why do I have?
You're wasting all your
versions?
energy on this thing for nothing.
Well, it's too late. You know, this is my life, sink or swim, one or the other. But the thing is, there's two versions. You know, there can't be. I can't have a version that has the inspector saying, "I'll see you out there." You
Well,
know?
I've never heard that.
I sent it to you, and I'll say it.
Yeah, I
to you
know, but
again.
it doesn't say that. I don't hear that.
Well, I have it.
I don't hear that. I don't hear that.
Well, you know,
I listened to it and I don't hear it.
well, I can send you another copy.
Well, you don't have to because I've listened to the one you sent me and I don't hear it.
You know what?
That's not what I hear.
Well, you know what?
And even if it was what I hear, it still doesn't matter.
But
Still
you know
makes
what?
no difference on the outcome of the case.
But Lauren, you know why it?
And if
does
it
make
makes
a
no
difference?
outcome on the difference of the case, why would anybody do it?
Because Lauren, if you can change the "see you out there" to "see you at 3," you
they
can
can't.
change
They
no to
can't
yes.
change that.
You can change. You
They
can write
cannot
somebody out of
do
a
it.
will, Lauren. You can
They
steal
can't
their
do it.
property. That's
Nobody
what you
here
can do.
can
You
do
can
it.
claim unclaimed money. There's
Well,
a
so
lot
what?
you can
That's
do.
not what happened in your case.
No, that's
They
why.
ruled on it and made a completely legitimate
No.
judicial decision
That's
on your
what the
case.
people that
and
make
you-
that have
and
that
you didn't
capability
appeal.
use it for. That's not.
Well,
The point is,
you're just fantasizing this.
I'm not, Lauren, because the
Yes, you
FTR
are.
fraud. Listen, the FTR fraud happened in another case.
Well, not here.
No, the case in Moon Valley.
It didn't happen here.
Well,
And I'm
no,
not. And from
In
everybody I've talked to,
your
it's
court,
not
the
possible.
FTR, the fraud happened on 3 occasions over 2 dockets. In one day, it happened.
Well,
Sure it did. At one point, the inspector said,
look, this is just a dead parrot conversation, you know.
no, because Lauren, the point is that this.
No, the point is
the
that
point
this
is
is
that
going
everything
nowhere.
is hacked, and it needs to get. It needs to be fixed. That's the.
There's nothing that
point.
needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it needs.
And
to
you
be
you know what your remedies are. You know what your options are.
No, because
You're a bright enough guy. You can go handle it, do what you need to do.
Know what,
And telling
Lauren,
it me
you're
doesn't
a
accomplish
super smart
anything.
guy, and you know.
That's why I know that there's nothing here.
No. But Lauren, that's not.
There's
you know
nothing
that.
here.
Listen, you know. Well, then how can I have 2 versions?
I have no idea how that happened. If it's because you've got a version that's on your mobile phone, if it's because one of them is converted into the regular audio format and the other one's FTR speaker, who knows? I have no idea why you think you have 2 versions, but there aren't 2 versions.
Listen, there are 2 versions, and not only
and we only have one on the system. So
no, but Loren, not
There's
only
only one. There's only one on the system.
and the bailiff was muted.
There's only one on the system.
And there was time
Only
taken
one
away for the
version.
third trial.
There's
For
only
the
one
3
version.
o'clock.
There's one version.
No, not even when your court plays it on
There
the...
is one
on the,
version.
No, when your court plays it on the system,
There's one
it
version.
comes out with the bailiff muted.
There is one
sometimes.
version.
No.
There's
3 versions that are pumped out.
No,
For
they're
the
not.
listen, Loren, they produced. Look, I have WMA file where you could hear what the bailiff says a little bit, and I have another file FTR where you can't hear what she says. Where the first recording, you can't hear it. So between those,
we're not getting anywhere, and I got a lot of work to do. So
well, the thing is,
go
Loren, though,
forth and
somebody,
do what you need to do.
But
okay?
the thing is, you need to do what you.
I am doing exactly what the rules require, and what my understanding of the facts and my belief of this whole case. And if I sincerely believe there was a problem with this, I would certainly report it to the people that need to be reported to. But it's ridiculous. It is just ridiculous. And I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I've tried to be nice to you this whole time. I've treated you with nothing but respect all through this entire proceeding.
And that's not being nice to me. Trying to make
I'm the only one who'll listen to you.
No, that's not true. Everyone, your staff is agreeing with me, though.
No, they're not.
Listen, those are the people in the trenches that have to see it and deal with it. You're just up there. And,
okay, well, here's the thing. I have to hang up now.
You know what? I don't have anything personal against you for doing.
Well, you're acting like you do, and you start calling me names.
Your job,
call me names.
Listen, Lauren, your job.
You call me names.
Lauren, your job is a serious job. Your job is a serious job, not to make somebody look crazy, but to investigate what happened.
I already did that, and I'm satisfied with what we've got.
What? You didn't do that. You just locked me up in jail.
I had nothing to do with that.
And you have the evidence about what happened, and you guys did it. You don't want it out there. You just choose not
see, there you're doing it again. You're accusing me of all kinds of things.
Right.
Without knowing what happened.
Covering up an investigation.
Well, it's ridiculous. We're not covering up anything.
Yeah, your system is hacked. It got hacked by Judge Villa and company.
It didn't get hacked. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then with
it's ridiculous.
Well,
I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but the truth is, you have worked yourself up into a state about this, and it's about nothing. You're wasting all of this time and energy on nothing.
But Loren, everything you say, I remember it as what you say and how you said it, and it never changes.
Right. That's that might give you a clue.
Right. You. And if I play it back, it'll sound the same. Our conversation sounds the same. But with Judge Villa in court that day, I can play it back and it will sound different because there's 2 versions. That's not possible. That means it was hacked.
There are not 2 versions. But.
Yeah, Loren, there are 2 versions. One version, she says, see you out there very clearly. The other version, I don't know what she says. You know, the court record says see you at 3, but it's, you know.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Well, and that's a very serious
problem. But that's hard to hear, and that's very hard to hear regardless. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Lauren,
that it is hard to hear.
If somebody can change your words in court, your family is not safe. Their property is not safe because somebody else can take it. They can cheat them in court. That's not fair.
I'll grant you that. If that were possible, that could be possible. But it just doesn't happen here. That's not what happened here. It didn't happen here.
Well, then, Lauren, how could there be 2 versions, though?
There aren't 2 versions.
Well, yeah, there are 2 versions.
There may be 2 ways of listening to it, depending on what CD you're playing it on, what you're playing it over, whether you're listening to it with the volume adjusted or not. We've had this whole discussion before. I told you that if you if you really listen to it on FDR player, where you can adjust the volume on the channels, you can actually, by turning the volume down a little bit, you can actually hear it better if you turn the volume down a little bit, because it cuts out some of the noise.
The 4th channel has very clearly Zolika's voice in what she says. So
Well, look,
that's the channel.
I'm sorry. I have to hang up now.
But what are you saying?
Sorry.
The channels are cutting out,
Go,
though. That's what I don't understand.
Well, because you can hear it cutting out. If you listen to the whole thing, there's one of the microphones that's clearly not functioning properly.
Oh, that's going to be the explanation. There's one of the mics that cut out the channel.
Well,